just saw and heard a fuming palace spokesman Harry Roque, who admits to being emotional during an IATF meeting with medical experts on Tuesday. Roque scolded a group of health experts for pushing back against plans to ease restrictions in the capital.
On the receiving end of his tirades was Dr. Maricar Limpin of the Philippine College of Physicians. She's urging that hard lockdowns be imposed in the metro as hospitals are now overwhelmed due to increasing infections. She is now calling for the resignation of Roque. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Ed Lingao. You're watching The Big Story. We begin with presidential spokesman Harry Roque castigating medical doctors for opposing government's quarantine restriction policies.
But to healthcare workers, it is not an apology for the uncalled for outburst that they demand. Instead, they say Roque should be removed from office. Cherry Salazar has the big story.
With outrage and indignation, this was how presidential spokesperson Harry Roque reacted to a medical experts group's consistent stand against the easing of quarantine restrictions. In this video obtained by the Philippine Daily Inquirer, Roque fumes. It's as if the government has never done anything right.
No one in government wants a single life lost. No one. How dare you think that we are not considering steps to prevent the loss of lives? Relax, partner, relax. Oh, we didn't have to hear this.
Roque's outburst happened during the IATF meeting last Tuesday, when the task force backtracked on implementing granular lockdowns and instead extended the modified ECQ in Metro Manila until September 15. In another video that went viral on social media, Dr. Maricar Limpin, president of the Philippine College of Physicians, turned emotional as she called for a hard lockdown in NCR. Limpin said hospitals are already operating at full capacity as the highly infectious Delta variant of COVID-19 continues to spread. Concerns she already raised in an interview with One News The Chiefs.
Kung sa ngayon ay nahihirapan na kami no, sa pagtanggap ng mga pasyente, lalong-lalo na kapag tumaas pa ang kaso natin ng COVID-19.
During his briefing on Friday, Roque admitted to being emotional, but stressed the need to balance health and the economy as restrictions cannot be solely based on clinical decisions.
Sa Metro Manila, halos kalahati na rin po ang ating nabakunahan. Bakit po tayo mag-hard lockdown na naman? Samantalang, kaya nga po natin pinabilis ang proseso ng pagbakuna para makapagbukas tayo ng ekonomiya.
But for Dr. Limpin, it is not apology that healthcare workers need from Roque. Limpin calls on the president to fire his spokesperson.
Since it's uncalled for, I think the president should actually remove him from office. And it's, the spokesperson kailangan malumanay.
Cherry Salazar, we are One News.
And let's get some follow-up questions on this straight from Dr. Maricar Limpin, the president of the Philippine College of Physicians. Good evening, Dr. Limpin, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, good evening, Ed.
Yes,
and good evening to everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Certainly a difficult day today. A lot of emotions that went on air today. But, well, at the end of the day, I'd like to ask you, are you still adamant in insisting calling for Harry Roque's head? And is this a sentiment shared among a lot of the medical professionals?
I think the ones calling for this resignation are some of our colleagues, no, and not just the doctors, but also for the other healthcare workforce, no. So that is what they're saying. But I'm not the one, no. Ika-clarify ko lang, hindi po ako ang humihingi ng resignation ni Secretary Roque.
Mm-hmm. But then again po, what group are we talking about here? I mean, is there a group that's calling for his head? Because we heard you a while ago. You made that statement, we suppose, on behalf of a group.
No. Ang statement ko is really my own personal position. No, I'd like to make that clear. I'm not speaking in behalf now pag sinabi ko kanina, it's not in behalf of any health professional organization, but it's my personal position po.
Okay. Ma'am, tapos ano po, ang sabi kasi ni spokesman Harry Roque, as far as your group daw is concerned, parang wala raw ginawang tama ang gobyerno, parang wala kayong sinang-ayunan. Is that an accurate statement?
I think kayo naman ang witness dyan sa kung meron nga kaming ang sinabi lang namin ay puro hindi maganda sa gobyerno kasi that is what he was alluding to. So, ang palagi lang namin sinasabi is we're just stating the facts, no? We stick to the facts and we are sticking to the science, no? So, kasi ang paniniwala pa rin namin, if we are going to defeat this enemy, no, and win the battle against COVID-19, kailangan gamitin natin ang siyensya kasi naroon ang solusyon.
Okay. Very good words from Dr. Maricar Limpin, President of the Philippine College of Physicians. Dr. Limpin, maraming salamat for joining us tonight. At the heart of that issue is the move to ease restrictions in the NCR as government tries to shift to more targeted lockdowns. The IATF just today provisionally approved guidelines for the implementation of granular lockdowns. For a start, NCR will only be placed under two possible quarantine classifications, either ECQ or GCQ. Now, if placed under the laxer General Community Quarantine or GCQ, 4 alert levels will be put in place, with level 4 being the strictest. This system will determine the allowed capacity for the 3 Cs, or the closed areas, crowded areas, and close contact activities. The 3 Cs include religious and social gatherings, tourist attractions, dine-in, and personal care services, among other things. Under Alert Level 4, all industries under 3C will be closed. Restrictions will be eased under Alert Level 3 with capacity allowed at 30%. For Alert Level 2, capacity is further loosened to 50%, while the status of Alert Level 1 means all businesses will be allowed to fully operate as long as health standards are observed. Areas will switch alert levels every 14 days or every 2 weeks. We hope to implement this by September 16.
These are the other big stories tonight. The president's former economic advisor, Michael Yang, finally appeared in the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's hearing, but lawmakers still want him arrested, together with Pharmalease Director Lincoln Ong. Cagayanons are bracing for impact as Typhoon Kiko nears super typhoon status. Signal number 4 is now up over Babuyan Islands. And Fil-Canadian teen Leylah Fernandez slayed another giant in World War II Arena Sabalenka. She's now headed to the finals of the US Open. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Michael Yang, the man at the heart of the Senate investigation into pharmaceutical, has denied all involvement with the company.
But senators did not buy his answers and issued an arrest warrant for both him and another Pharmalease director. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez will give us the front seat to the story.
After being cited for contempt for snubbing 2 previous hearings, Michael Yang finally showed up at the Senate hearing on pandemic supplies. President Duterte's former economic advisor said he was currently at a hotel in Davao City. Yang initially denied several times being involved with Pharmalease operations. He spoke through an interpreter.
He doesn't know and he has no relation to Pharmalease. And it is only through the news that he found out that of the existence of Pharmaly Pharmaceutical.
But later on, after extended grilling of Pharmaly Director Lincoln Ong, it came to light that Yang was the guarantor between Pharmaly and the suppliers in China. Meaning, Yang assured the suppliers that Pharmaly will be able to pay, even though it had a very small capital at the start.
May mga portion na kami na nagdiretso nagbayad sa mga suppliers, mga savings ng mga our incorporators, our partners. There are certain items that we don't have enough funds to settle. So Mr. Michael Yang guarantees for us.
Medyo laway ang puhunan. Hintay muna kayo makasingit sa gobyerno, kaya kayo pinayagan ng suppliers.
In the end, senators felt the two weren't being truthful and moved to issue warrants of arrest for both Yang and Ong. After hours of questioning, the lawmakers felt it still wasn't clear where Pharmaly got its money. The procured supplies bit was only incorporated in 2019 and had a startup capital of just 625,000 pesos. It was also found that Pharmaly didn't have an import license. Former PSDBM Undersecretary Lloyd Christopher Lau, who was the one who awarded the contracts, insisted there was no anomaly.
Common sense dictates that we preserve the money of the government. And how did we preserve the money of the government? We did not pay a single centavo to the supplier until they delivered.
The Anti-Money Laundering Council has been asked to review the financial transactions of Pharmaly. I'm Pamela Vasquez and we are One News.
The Senate in past sessions also scrutinized the government's purchase of face shields. But are the plastic barriers really effective in preventing virus transmissions? An expert in wind engineering weighs in with this report by mobile journalist Teresa Urmatam.
Noon sabi ko na tanggalin na ninyo ng face shields. Pero nung dumating itong variant na Delta, natakot ako. Yun, mali ko yun.
Gulat tayo, bilyon-bilyon ang ginastos ninyo sa face shield. Gamot na muna kaysa plastic.
Politics aside, how effective are face shields against COVID-19? Civil engineer Joshua Agar, who also specializes in wind engineering, puts the plastic barrier to the test. In a computer simulation, Agar observed the negative air pressure in a high momentum case, where a person who's coughing stands a meter away from someone wearing a face shield.
Pag sinabi pong negative pressure, parang suction po yung nangyari. So papunta po dun lahat ng airborne particles. So tracking naman po yung blue, makikita nyo na nandito yung blue na portion. So dito, doon po nahihigop papunta yung mga airborne particles.
As seen here, there's a negative pressure between the face and the plastic as airborne particles are sucked into the small gap. Agar also observed negative air pressure in low momentum cases or when a person is in an environment with a certain concentration of the virus or with airborne particles lingering in the air.
Check nyo po yung velocity. Meron pong mga vortices swirl dito. Then from above, meron din nagsiswirl. Then meron pang nagre-reverse na flow na galing sa leg mo, paakyat.
The World Health Organization maintains that face shields should be used while there's an ongoing surge in the country. Engineer Agar can only hope that the government will hear more scientific research on the usage of face shields. He also wishes that preventive measures are more budget-friendly.
Establish po natin na yung face shields are physical interventions rather than medical ones.
Because his study was only done through computer simulation, Agar is also urging other researchers to conduct physical simulations to test the face shield's effectiveness.
Despite the clamor for President Duterte's SALN, Ombudsman Samuel Martirez says he would rather be removed from office than yield to public opinion. During the budget deliberations before Congress on Thursday, Martirez stood his ground and said government officials' SALNs or the statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth will not be released to the public. Government officials are mandated or required by law to declare their SALNs for every year they hold public office. The same law also requires the SALN custodians to publicly disclose these records. But Martirez says he will not be walking back on a memorandum circular that he himself issued last year. Memorandum Circular Number 1, released in 2020, tightened rules on the public disclosure of officials' wealth details. It stated that the SALN can only be released to the declarant or an authorized representative, and if the request is made upon a court order of a pending case or for a fact-finding investigation. Otherwise, SALNs are hands-off to requesters unless they can present a notarized letter showing permission from the declarant. Martres also suggested amending the law by allowing the publication of SALNs but prohibiting commentaries on them.
For the big story in sports, Pilipinas guard Dwight Ramos joins Japan's B-League. Ramos will be part of the Toyama Gruses for the 2021-2022 season. He is the 8th Filipino to play in the B-League system. Officially turning pro, Ramos won't be able to suit up anymore for the Ateneo Blue Eagles, though he says he wishes he had the chance to wear blue and white. In a statement, he says circumstances in the pandemic led him to the decision. He also reaffirms his commitment to the Gilas program and says this experience will make him a better contributor. Ramos had averaged 13.8 points, 6.2 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and 2 steals at the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. It's not just basketball that has seen the rise of Filipino imports in Japan. Our top volleyball players are headed to the land of the rising sun for another season of the Japan V-League. The details in my report. Pinoy athletes are out to invade Japan, including today's top volleyball players. After her victory with Cherry Tigo in the recently concluded Premier Volleyball League, Jaja Santiago hopes to carry the streak with the Saitama Ageo Medics. She joins them for her 4th conference as an import and is currently finishing her quarantine in Japan.
Ito yung monitoring. Nilolocate nila kung nasan ka po. Tapos, ito yung app, Mark. Oh! Tatawag po sila sa'yo with, 11 to 2. Araw-araw po hanggang matapos yung quarantine mo.
Following the V-Cup Championship last year, the Ageo Medics are vying for another title, this time in the V-League.
Yung pinaka-main league kasi is yung Japan V-League. Yung sinasabi kong unfinished business ko dito, yan, makuha namin.
Espejo!
Mark Espejo and Brian Bagunas will rekindle their rivalry in the V-League after being teammates in the national team.
Espejo!
Power hitter Bagunas will play for Oita Miyoshi for the 3rd time.
Sana yung mga kulang pa sa akin na my skills, mas may angat pa ngayon at mas makatulong pa ako sa team.
Espejo, meanwhile, will suit up for his new team, FC Tokyo.
Gusto kong i-redeem yung sarili ko na from sa first season ko, hindi matapos yung season kasi nga may injury ako.
But it doesn't end there. The list of Pinoy athletes in Japan keeps growing. 8 Cagers are signed with different Japan basketball teams and more could be expected for volleyball.
Actually, may mga teammates din naman ako ngayon na may kumakausap na rin na mga coaches sa ibang bansa. So, syempre, ayoko muna sabihin kung sino sila. Pero sana, baka ma-jinx.
It's dream come true for Mark, Brian, and Jaja to play overseas. But as they say, it takes hard work to make the dream work.
Hindi lang talaga Japanese yung nakakalaban ko eh. Talagang world, mga world player na. Kaya sobrang laki ng experience na nakukuha ko talaga dito.
As an import, kailangan mag-deliver ka sa team and magampanan mo yung position na meron ka. At the same time, dapat hardworking talaga.
The Japan V-League opens its season this October. Gretchen Ho, We Are One News. Time for another quick break. When we return, Pag-asa hasn't ruled out yet the possibility that Kiko will further intensify into a super typhoon. And Fil-Canadian Leylah Fernandez powered through another world champion to secure her slot to an all-teen US Open Finals. A look at her journey after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Will Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte be true to her word and stay away from national politics? Or is this just a page from the Duterte playbook that harks back to a last-minute substitution during the 2016 polls?
An expert weighs in on the matter by pointing out there may be just another player, Bongbong Marcos. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the story.
They say that politics is a game of addition, but the first week of the party's convention for the 2022 elections was highlighted by a subtraction. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, touted as one of the leading contenders in next year's presidential elections, says she is not going to run for any national post.
Mayor Sara and the President made an agreement that only one Duterte will run in 2022. And Mayor Sara, being true to her words, the President has decided to run.
In an interview with One News, the Chiefs, Frasco said Sara Duterte will just seek another term as Davao City Mayor. But the announcement raised several questions, especially since then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte also claimed he was not running for president in 2016.
Hindi ko alam kung tatawagin nating perya o karnabal o soap opera, pero minsan nababasa mo na rin yung mga laro eh.
Frasco refused to say if the younger Duterte's decision is final or if it could still change if President Duterte withdraws from his vice presidential bid.
Well, that's a hypothetical situation. And I think that it's more important to focus right now on the actual facts on the ground, which is that the President has declared he is running.
But in an interview with 1PH's Sa Totoo Lang, DLSU political science professor Antonio Contreras said there may be another reason why the two Dutertes are avoiding running as president and vice president. It would leave out their political ally, Bongbong Marcos.
Ang bold prediction ko dito, sa tingin ko baka si Bongbong ang tumakbong pagka-presidente at baka si Sara o si Digong ang vice.
But it's still too early in the election season. Parties still have 1 month to hold their political conventions before the filing of candidacy in October. And even then, parties can still substitute candidates until November 15. This means that politics will still be a game of smokes and mirrors until then. I'm Jacob Lazaro and we are One News.
Typhoon Kiko intensifies further as it endangers parts of northern Luzon. As of 4 p.m., Kiko was located 190 kilometers east of Apari, Cagayan, packing winds of up to 215 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 265 kph. Pag-asa is not ruling out the possibility that Kiko may further intensify into a super typhoon, with signal number 5 being the highest possible wind signal. For now, signal number 4 is currently hoisted over the Babuyan Islands. Areas under signal number 3 include portions of Cagayan, portions of the Babuyan Islands, and Batanes. The following areas are meanwhile under signal number 2. These are the northern, central, and eastern portions of mainland Cagayan, as well as parts of Isabela and Apayao. More surrounding areas up north are meanwhile placed under signal number 1. Pag-asa expects the typhoon to pass over the coastal waters of northeastern Cagayan this evening. Afterwards, Bagyong Kiko may cross the vicinity of the Babuyan Islands and Batanes or pass within their coastal waters tonight through tomorrow afternoon or evening. The typhoon is forecast to exit the PAR on Sunday.
And the fairy tale continues for Fil-Canadian Leylah Fernandez. The tennis star is rising up the ranks, crossing off one world best after another. A look at her journey to the US Open Finals in my report. Another giant slayed. The unseeded Fil-Canadian Leylah Fernandez defeated the world's second-best Arina Sabalenka of Belarus, booking for herself a ticket to the finals of the US Open women's singles. Sabalenka's heavy serves might have pressured Fernandez, but the teen phenom powered through 7-6, 4-6, 6-4. Prior to this, Fernandez pulled an upset against defending champion Naomi Osaka and world number 5 Elina Svitolina.
I would say it's thanks to the New York crowd. They've helped me today. They've cheered for me. And they never gave up. They never gave up for me. They fought for me. And thanks to you, I was able to win. So thank you, New York. Thanks everyone for cheering for me.
Leylah, who was born to an Ecuadorian father and a Filipino-Canadian mother, is happy the years of tears and hard work are now paying off. She also draws strength from her growing number of fans from Canada, Ecuador, and the Philippines.
I'm so happy to hear that everyone in the Philippines is cheering for me and supporting me, so thank you. Unfortunately, I do not know much about the Filipino culture, but I do know that my lolo, he cooks amazing. I just can't wait to learn more about the culture in the future.
I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. She puts in a lot of work to what she does, so it's finally paying off.
All that success, however, didn't come without its challenges and her fair share of doubters.
A lot of people doubted me. They kept saying no, that I'm not gonna be a professional tennis player. But we've gone through so many things together as a family, and I'm just glad that right now everything's going on our side.
Fernandez will face Britain's Emma Raducanu on Saturday, setting up the first all-teens US Open final since 1999, when Serena Williams and Martina Hingis faced off. From unseeded player to rising star, Leylah Fernandez's magical run proves that she's ready to go all the way.
There's no limit to what I can do, and I'm just glad that right now everything's going well.
Gretchen Hall, We Are One News. A lot of good news of sports, no?
Yeah. How old is she again?
19. She just turned 19. Yeah. I think last week lang, oo.
Tapos Pinay na Pinay, no?
Oo, tapos yung kalaban din niya, teenager din. Exciting. Sabi ko nga, nagbabago na yung ihip na lang yun eh.
Oo. Pero pag pumunta sa Pilipinas yan, bibigyan ng pelikula ni Mother Lilian.
She has to learn na Tagalog first, though.
Hindi, that's part of the charm. Yung Tagalog mo medyo balo-balok.
So dapat ganun talaga. Oo. So pwede pala ako na, no? Joke lang.
Correct sabi na,
That wraps up today's big story. Catch us again Monday at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
Stay safe, Philippines. On behalf of Robbie Alampay, I'm Edwin Gao.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good weekend.